Bed. Love.
Bed.
Bed.
Love.
Beyond.
Beyond.
Bed, love, beyond. Bed, love, beyond.
Hey, welcome, listener. Welcome to Bed Love Beyond, episode 26, the podcast for the hopeful and the hater in us to discuss sex, love, and whatever's clever with like-minded people like you who are also in limbo with love.
Like us.
Thank you for listening to us on Podbean, iTunes, Pocket Cast, Stitcher, and
Google Play.
And this episode 26, is called In Sickness and in Health, How Your Wellness Can Affect the Healthiness of Your Relationship.
Ooh.
I thought about this a long time ago. Actually, it was pretty much an inception of something that Jennifer talked to me about like a long time ago. And I was wondering I wonder if that has happened in other relationships where, let's say, a condition happens to you and, you're pretty much stuck with it. Is that necessarily a detriment to the relationship, or can you guys move past it and then, just have as good as a relationship as that ailment will allow you to have? So without really thinking about it, because that's all that I went through. But then after looking at these specific articles, examples of Jennifer kept coming up. So I was just like, oh, I guess this is the Jennifer show, this episode. So I was like, so I told her before the podcast, like, hey, this is all right. Like, this is pretty much like you. And she's like, whatever, it's fine. And I was like, okay, cool. So, yeah. Well, the first one, first off, is everything good? We got any daily dish, whatever, or like we just get into it?
I think so.
Everything's all right?
Nothing exciting has happened in the past week.
Okay. All right,
Nothing
cool.
like exciting.
Right.
That's podcast worthy.
Right, exactly. Yeah, yeah, same here. Nothing much has been going
how's your
on.
pen pal?
And she's cool. I mean, still talking. I mean, I did a little bit, I guess, more investigating, like the I guess her email address, not the whole thing, but like the end, like the @ whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that it's connected to Russian dating scams. Yeah, so like
Okay.
I looked it up, and then they're like, oh yeah, like this person usually wants you to fall in love with them, and then they start asking like, hey, can I come to your country? And then you're like, oh yeah, sure. And then like they're like, can I get some? They'll be like, can I get some money? And then you've been so invested in their lives and stuff, and you've like fallen in love. You're like, yeah, sure, here you go, here's my money and stuff. And then they say, okay, I'll be here. Let's make a date at like in August, like August 15th or something. And then when August 15th happens, like they're like, oh, I can't make it, whatever, but I just need a little bit more money and then it'll be okay.
Oh God.
So.
Oh, Malaysia hit me up.
Oh, really?
Speaking of scams.
All right. Well, I mean, that's pretty much about it. So I mean, so her that tag is connected to that, but I don't know if it's if she's like real or fake. But I mean, I'm still just going along with the ride because it's just pretty funny. And it's just, I guess, someone to talk to, even if the person is fake or not. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it on my end. But yeah, what's going on with Malaysia?
I don't know. I mean, I discussed some things, but it was just like, he's like, oh, you abandoned me when I needed you the most. I'm like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta go.
I gotta go.
So, that was it.
Yeah.
I know this podcast episode will probably air like in a few weeks from today, but I guess I don't want to go without saying prayers and positive vibes to everyone affected in Orlando. It's pretty crazy. I know the LGBTQ community, I think I got them all, I'm not sure, is like really going through it right now. And I kind of called my niece to kind of just see how she was, because she's one, part of the community, and two, lives an hour from Orlando. And apparently she doesn't club, so maybe she couldn't like assimilate with that part of it, of like going out on a night with your friends and it ending so tragically. And I feel like maybe possibly she doesn't grasp it as a whole yet, but I did. I was like, that could have been my niece.
Yeah.
Just because of the target audience. I mean, it could have been anybody, but it could have been anyone because of the target. Well, just her because of the target audience. So, I just kind of like sent out an extra like, hey, how you doing? Your aunt loves you. But definitely prayers and positive vibes to everyone who's affected.
Yeah, definitely. I got wind of the news when I woke up the other day. I mean, the day of that it happened, because um, I was getting ready for a wedding, and my friend who was there, he's from Orlando, and he lives like 2 streets away
Oh,
from
wow.
it. Yeah, but he was up here, and I'm getting ready. I'm like, all right, let me get ready for this wedding and stuff. And then my friend, he opens his no, I open my Facebook, and he says, yeah, today's supposed to be about love and all that stuff, but I'm so heartbroken. And then it says like continue reading. I was like, what the hell happened? Like, so I'm thinking like, yo, did they go, like call off the wedding or something like that? Like, what happened? So I hit like read more, and it says, oh, I live like right there, even though I'm not part of like that community, that's my home, and there's such tragedy, has happened, and in the past week, because of the Orlando thing, but also because of that singer too
Oh,
that happened
Christina
in
Grimmie,
Orlando.
yeah.
Yeah, that happened in Orlando. He's like, yo, come on, what's the point? Like, what's going on? This is all about love. I can't believe this is happening in my town. So he was like distraught, but I mean, obviously, you know, later in the day, he got over it, and he was like, well, not over it, I shouldn't say that, but like the
Move
wedding
past
lifted
it.
up his spirits,
Right, right.
so I was just like, wait, what the hell's going on? And then I'm looking at everybody else's like Facebook, and I'm like, what? Like a shooting happened? What? And then I'm like reading about it. I'm like, oh my God.
I don't
Like,
think I saw it like late at night because I was up late that night, and I don't think like I grasped the reality of what actually happened
mm-hmm.
until the next morning. And then they like said like largest massacre in the United States history. And
Yeah, mass shooting. Yeah.
I was like, yo,
Yeah.
wait, what happened?
Because what they determine a mass shooting is any number higher than 4 people, then it's
Mm-hmm.
like a mass shooting. So it was like 50 people dead, 53 injured.
Well,
So
now the number's 49.
uh, dead.
Yeah, because
Okay.
50 was including the killer, and they're not
Right.
including him any longer.
Right.
So, but yeah, just wanted to make mention of that.
Mm.
That we are on the side of love, of course,
No, absolutely.
on this podcast.
Yeah, man, just all love, man. Race, creeds,
Sexual
gender, sex,
orientation.
whatever. I mean,
But I love how everybody like is pulling together, like all across the country, like
oh yeah.
New York and LA, everywhere.
No.
Everyone's kind of making a team effort.
Yeah, man,
So
and that's good. It should be everywhere. Like, we hold hands, metaphorically and stuff, and that's just great that we do that. We come together as a collective, because
right.
as I believe I saw it on your page or something, or you put it on our page, that hate will never win.
Hate will never win. Yeah.
Yeah, hate will never win, and I don't know, senseless to tell you the truth, but pull together, people. We'll be all right.
So, sickness and health.
Yeah, how wellness can affect your healthiness of your relationship. So, the story or the time period that I took this from was from when the time that I wasn't in your life then when you had your condition, like the heart condition,
Mm-hmm.
and in your relationship, your ex, I forget who, I'm pretty sure I know which one, but like one of your exes was, and they took care of you, but like for a bit, and they were like, yo, all right, you need to like get better or something like that, because I can't deal with this and stuff. And then I think the next boyfriend after that took over and was like, come on, man, like you
Right.
can't get over this. You can't
Right.
quote unquote get over this. And then
Yeah, like I was born with a heart condition and nothing. And growing up, I was fine. And then like one day I woke up and like something happened and I needed to go to the hospital. And I was by myself and I called the ER and everything by myself. And I remember I called him and he didn't, the guy who I was dating at the time, I called him and he didn't answer. So I asked the paramedic, I'm like, this is his number. Can you call him? So the paramedic actually had to call him. And he answered and he's like, hi, we're calling from, Bloomfield paramedics and we're taking your girlfriend to the hospital. She wants you to meet her there. So he did, and I didn't know what was happening. They had to like knock me out and like shock my heart. And then when I woke up, he was standing there next to my mom, and I was like, oh shit. Okay. But then I had to stay in the hospital overnight. My dad came to pick me up, and then like I asked him if he could come over and like take me to get the medication I had to get. And he came over, and I was like really scared to stay by myself. I was like, can you please stay with me? And he was just kind of like, you don't need anybody to stay with you. I'm like, yeah, I kind of do. Like, I'm freaking out. And like, luckily one of my friends came and she stayed with me for a couple days, until I kind of just like adjusted back to like life as it was normal. And then we had like a bunch of other issues in our relationship which I've spoken about on past podcasts. And we broke up. And then I like slowly, at the time I was friends with the person who I started dating, my ex. And he actually, the night that I was in the hospital, we were like texting, because we always would text and be like, hey, what's going on? What shows are you watching? Blah, blah, blah. And he was like, are you okay? And I was like, I hate being in the hospital by myself. To this day, it doesn't matter how old I get, I know I'm going to never want to be in the hospital by myself. And he was like, I'll come and stay with you. He's like, I'll come hang out with you for a couple hours. And it was after visiting hours, but he kind of like snuck into the hospital. We watched a couple shows. He stayed till it was like pretty late. And it was a weeknight. It was a work night too, you know? And I was like, dude, that was awesome of him. Like, it really made me appreciate him. Right after the hospital thing, I guess like it made him realize that like life is like way too short. And then he kind of like confessed to me. He's like, I really like you and blah, blah, blah. We just recently had that conversation. Because I told him what the podcast was about. And I was like, oh, you should come on the podcast. And he was like, no. He's like, I don't want us to ruin our friendship. I was like, good point. But I don't have nothing bad to say about him. And then like I had to go to the hospital a bunch of other times after that. And like he always like, he calmed me. Like he definitely, his presence just like calmed me down. That and Xanax, I think. I don't know. It was something. So, but like he always like stood by my side. He held my hand. Like, but he was kind of one of those people like, everything's gonna be fine. You have nothing to worry about. Like, and I'd be like, oh God, I'm freaking out. And he's like, what are you gonna do? There's nothing you could do. You know, he kind of brought like a sense of reality to it. Well, I was like spinning in my head, and I don't know. It's just every time I got sick once down the shore, and I was in the ER, and there he was. He came all the way from work. He like flew down the shore to like be by my side, and then I'll never ever be able to repay him for that. Like I'll be like eternally grateful for that. And I've always told him like, you were probably put into my life for that. Like he's not a bad person, and we may not have been bad together. We just had a series of unfortunate events that ruined our relationship. But there was that right there, like that was his purpose, I think. Like everything else had happened, like there were just obstacles we could not jump, especially being like a new couple. Some things that like ran into our path were just not able to jump over and work out, but and eventually ruined us. But that right there, like his like dedication to being like by my side, I'll never be able to repay him for that. And I think when we broke up, I kind of said, like, what happens now? Like, and I even, like, felt, like, kind of sick once or twice, like, after we had broken up, and I had called him, and, because he's, like, all I know to call. Like, he's the person who I call. And, I don't know, like, I think at one point he kind of just said, like, well, we're not together anymore. Like, not like this isn't my problem, but he kind of gave me, like, the indication that he wasn't trying. He didn't want me to rely on him for this anymore.
Yeah.
And I understood.
Yeah,
I mean,
it makes sense.
I know that, like, if push came to shove and, like, something happened, he would be there. But he's right. Like, for all intents and purposes, we were divorced. So
yeah,
it's not his job anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, there's been people who I've dated who, like, you know, I think I've said before, I've called up, like, yo, I'm throwing up. I have a stomach ache. Can you bring me ginger ale? And they're just like, no. And like, that's the person who you're like, dude, I can't do this.
Mm-hmm.
I think I read an article once and it said something to the effect of like, don't date the guy who wants to walk you down the aisle. Like, date the guy who will walk you to the bathroom or something.
Yes, we talked about that in a podcast before, or I definitely know that you showed me that article because I read it and I was like, right. You know, that makes sense. Don't rely on the guy. Don't date a guy, who you want to walk down the aisle, that you want to go to the bathroom, because the person who wrote it was like deathly sick.
Yeah, she was like really sick and she
Yeah.
had some kind of surgery or something.
Yeah, and I think they were their boyfriend and girlfriend at the time.
Yeah.
I believe, and like yeah, and she was super embarrassed because you're at the hospital, so like you're pretty much
exposed.
exposed at your worst and stuff,
Mhm.
and she was looking at this guy like, oh my god, he's gonna like see me in like in my at my worst and stuff, and he was like, yo, shut up, like I'm taking you to the bathroom, like come on man, you're sick.
Right.
Like he didn't care whatsoever.
Mhm.
He was there through and through, and that's when she was like, yeah, that's my husband.
And I guess like moving forward, dating, like that's something that like I have like the largest concern about because, you know, I kind of like don't know if that person's going to like step up to the plate and do what they're supposed to do in the long run.
I mean, hopefully they would, because I don't. It should be. I don't know if it should necessarily be a choice. It should be instinctive. Just like, oh my goodness, like if somebody like fell, like your natural instinct, other than to like laugh, is to help to help pick up the person. So why wouldn't that person, if they see you really sick, or you're like, oh, you know what, I really need to go to the hospital, can you take me, or can you call like 911 or something, why that person wouldn't oblige? So going back with that first ex, did your health cause a rift in the relationship, or was it the other issues that were around it?
Did it cause the riff?
I mean, was there any rifts, or like, or it was mainly the other problems that you guys had was the eventual downfall of the relationship, or was it like, yo, this chick is always paranoid and blah blah blah, like I can't take it?
No, I think he just was like not really fully invested in the relationship.
Okay.
So he kind of had like his own thing, like his own like agenda, kind of.
Okay.
Kind of just like he wasn't into the relationship, and I don't think he really actually loved me to say, okay, you're sick, I care. I think he kind of just thought I was BSing sometimes, even after the hospital.
Wow.
So
okay. Now with the
it's so funny. So so I'm texting I had texted my ex earlier about this. So he said to me like, I won't I don't want to come on because I don't want to like cause friction in our friendship. Cuz not that he's going to say anything, I guess, that would hurt my feelings. I guess it's kind of like a weird thing, like this is my thing now. He has his own life going on, so he kind of doesn't like involve. But he messaged me and he's like, if I had any questions that I'd want his 2 cents on, to ask him, and he's like, he'll try to answer candidly. And he's like, then I can decide whether or not I want to discuss it. So I did ask him, which I think is important. Whether or not he'll answer, I guess we'll find out. I was like, what did you find difficult about dating someone who had health issues?
Cool.
Because I kind of want to see what he says. And I don't care either way. Whatever he says is fine.
No, but it'll be good.
But it's important because I think like there's a lot of different health issues. Like it could be people who have anxiety, people who have depression. I dated somebody with things. I have like minor anxiety about situations. Obviously going to the hospital and stuff like that. And like kind of like flying, I start to kind of freak out. Anything that's not really in my control, I start to like kind of panic about, like, oh my god, what's gonna happen?
Right.
So I am the one who kind of like freaks out, and I kind of need somebody who could be like, Jen, chill out, you're gonna be okay. But like some people have like really bad anxiety, like to the point where they can't breathe, they can't function. Like a friend of mine, like kind of like the anxiety kind of pours over into insecurity, and depression, and it kind of like people who have like debilitating mental health issues, like it's rough, and I dated somebody like that, and it was kind of just like you don't really know what to like think and or do. You don't know how to help them. You can't help them. Somebody who's constantly like, do you still like me? Do you want to be with me? Like, that's like an insecurity, which is kind of like a health issue in the fact that like, your anxiety is like building up about it. And like, if you don't know how to deal with that person, it's hard. It's like super, super hard. So it's definitely something to take into consideration.
Yeah, because one of the articles that I found where it said 10 ways anxiety affects your love life. And I immediately, because I didn't even know that you went out with somebody like that, but when I saw that, I immediately thought of our mutual friend.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, she, not that you can, not that it stops or whatever, but she has anxiety and like depression and stuff. And her now ex would tell her, like, you really need to calm down, and because it's really affecting us.
My
Yeah.
niece has like really bad depression and like separation anxiety, and she kind of freaks out about everything her girlfriend does. And her girlfriend calls me like, yo, you need to talk to her.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what to do anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand why she has this anxiety.
Yeah.
But I have to like try to like talk her down off the ledge to say, hey, you're going to damage your relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of got to the point in my relationship where I was kind of just miserable because of my newfound health issues. And I was kind of like, oh my God, this hurts, that hurts. Like, and I didn't feel like going anywhere because like I was just afraid something bad was going to happen to me. And I like lost friendships over it.
Yeah.
Because people were kind of just like, yo, you're whack. And like I definitely think like I got to the point where my ex was just like, you know what, I've heard it all before and you're fine and there's nothing you could do about it, so I really just don't want to tell you.
Right.
He wasn't like mean, he was never mean about it, but he was just kind of like, okay, Jen, now what?
Right.
You don't feel good,
Just matter
what
of fact.
can we do about it? You know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime anything was like serious and I had to go to the hospital or if I had to go to the doctor, he was there. But if it was just like minor stuff, like I have cramps, apparently guys don't like hearing about periods. He's like, is that it, or are there any other questions? I don't know. All I can think of.
Oh, that was his answer? Is that it?
He's like, I kind of want to knock him out all at once. So like stuff like that. He was like, Jen, enough. Like, chill the fuck out.
Yeah.
And I get it. You know what I'm saying? But I guess I was just like needed somebody to whine to, and he was like my confidant for everything. So I just brought all my shit to him. I'm like, oh my God, my head hurts. He's like, Jen, your head always hurts. I'm like, no, it doesn't. But then I'm like, yes, it does. But so yeah, like, I mean, I don't know. I was kind of a pain in the ass in that perspective. But I think it becomes draining on a person. I mean, I know damn well that like I sat there like with him sometimes. Well, obviously I was in the hospital. I had no place to go. I mean, and he was like sitting there and he looked miserable. And I'm like, are you okay? Are you okay? And he's like, Jen, I'm fine. And like I felt bad, but I couldn't help it. And I would be like, I feel bad. And he's like, we're good. Don't worry.
Yeah.
And like he kind of just kept his brave face about it. I mean, he was never like worried.
Yeah.
Although, like, when I had, like, this procedure done, the doctor said it was going to take 2 hours, and it took, like, 6. And I think my mom was freaking out, and then she started to, like, freak him out a little bit.
Well, yeah.
Because nobody, like, came out to, like, tell them, like, oh, we're still working.
Yeah, it's, like, 3 times as long. It's just
right.
Like, that's not cool.
I had no idea. I was under, like, good anesthesia.
Of course, but, like, how do you tell somebody that? Like, you better damn well tell me that it's going to take, that it's taking longer than usual. It's like, okay, fine. At least I know.
But he was always, like, super supportive, and I, like, really appreciated that. And that's like the thing, like I think the sickness and health thing doesn't mean like, oh, if they have a cold you go get them some Robitussin. Like my dad has to go to the hospital this week, my mom's going with him, because that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, no if ands or buts, just
right.
Yep, I'm going to the hospital too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
God forbid like anybody who I dated had to go to the hospital, I'd be there, even though it's like a hated ratchful place. I'm like, ugh. I hated there. I hated it since a kid.
Right.
But like that's where I'd be, like right by their side. Just feeding them that nasty chocolate pudding. I don't know, it's just what you do. I mean, people who can't do that, It's something I really should have thought about with my ex though, because like when I met him, not the last one, the one I dated the first time, when I met him, his dad was in the hospital and he wouldn't go see his dad. He was just kind of like, he's coming home soon. He's coming home soon. I'm like, that's not what the doctor said. Like, I went with him to go see his dad.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm like, that's not what he said at all. I'm like, you're not listening, because he was in denial about what was happening.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, like, your dad had like 9 strokes. Like, that's not what the social workers or the nurses, like, plan of care is.
Yeah.
And, you know, he just didn't want to see it. And, like, the doctors and stuff would call and he wouldn't even pick up. And then, you know, there was a part of me that was like, God, I hope I never get sick. And then, sure enough, like, a few months later, I did. But I don't know. Like, my friend dated a guy who wouldn't leave his house. He was kind of like a agoraphobe.
Okay.
And, like, he did have a baby with some other girl eventually. But I, like, to this day, I still wonder, like, dude, did you go to the hospital to see your baby being born? Or were you, like, did you have that much of an issue? Because agoraphobia is a real thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, it doesn't seem like a real thing, but it's a very real thing. And so it's like, dude, did you panic that much that, like, you couldn't go?
Yeah.
You know, the same thing with, like, her. I said, what happens if something happens to you? Like, is he going to be there? And she couldn't really answer me. And I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah. Because
Dude almost like freaked out because we got on the highway.
what does that have to do with?
Because he'll stay within like a radius of his town.
Oh,
but
okay.
if he thought that he was like going anywhere else, and you have to get on the highway to get to the hospital, like
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm just like, yo, that's insane.
That's crazy.
I don't know, but it's important. I don't know that these young kids like really think about it.
Mm-hmm. Well, the first article has to do with like the mental health, we've been discussing, and it's 10 ways anxiety affects your love life, and it's by bustle.com, and it's just just a 10 list saying, you know, how hard it is that anxiety affects your love life. And number 1 is lots of date ideas are off limits. Number 2, it's hard to find someone who actually comprehends your anxiety. And I, like before, I was just talking about our mutual friend. All the time, she'll put like Facebook posts saying that, like, you know, you can't just say, hey, cheer up, guy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You can't do that, because it's not so much that the person isn't happy today, that person is perpetually unhappy.
Right.
You know, so it's very hard for people to comprehend that. You know, you can't just say, oh, just go out there, get some sun, meet a guy, get some ass. You know, like it's not that simple.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, starting to talk to someone new is basically hell on earth. Number 4, you're constantly wondering when your relationship is going to come crashing down. And I've seen that with our mutual friend. She was almost counting down the days to when her now ex was going to leave her, because she would always complain to you and I that the relationship sucks. It's going to go down. I know he's going to leave me. He's going to say he hates me. And then, like, that's it. I know it. So I would feel bad for her, because, like, it was a constant repetitious thing that she would almost will it to happen, you know. Number 5, you start to believe your significant other would be happier with someone more normal. Number 6, long distance relationships are basically a no-go. Number 7, it's hard to have a healthy fight. Yeah, because that was interesting. If I can remember, let's say you're dating somebody and you have anxiety, and the person says, oh, hey, like I told you, like, last week, can you, like, stop putting the toilet seat up, whatever?
Mm-hmm.
Can you just, like, put it down? Thanks. But the person with the anxiety interprets it as, like, look, I've said this to you multiple times. You do it one more time, I'm leaving you.
Right.
You know, and the person, and that initial person probably didn't even mean it that way. Just like, you know, they were just probably saying it very nonchalantly, like, oh, hey, babe, can you just, like, not put up the toilet seat again? Thanks. Because I don't want to fall in. You know, but that's it. But the person with anxiety is like, oh my God,
this is the end.
This is the end. Everything is over. I can't deal with this. So and number 8 is when a relationship ends, you start to believe that you're simply undateable. Number 9.
This is people with anxiety, depression, stuff like that.
Yeah. Number 9, your level of clinginess tends to fall to one extreme or the other. And number 10, you risk becoming dependent on your partner for things that make you anxious. So, I mean, there's a lot of issues there when you deal with somebody that has anxiety, because I can only imagine how that other person might be taking it. You know, just like, oh, like, I don't know what to do, because you might love that person, but how far are you willing to invest that time into dealing with all that. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't. I'm not saying, oh, forego all anxiety people. No, they don't need love. Everybody needs love. Everybody deserves love. But how much can you take?
I don't know. I mean, I dated somebody with anxiety and bigger than my anxiety. So that was like, and his constant like, are you mad at me? What you like? Do you like? How do you like me? Tell me. Like, I'm like, what? And I'm like, I like you, like, but you need to chill the fuck out.
Yeah.
Like, if I didn't like you, you'd know about it.
Mm-hmm.
So, whatever. And I know that's not necessarily the right approach. So, like, I guess, like, since I work in the mental health field, I'd be conscious about what things I've said to him.
Yeah.
And, like, I would say to him, like, like, I'd be sure to be like, oh, give him positive affirmation or whatever.
Yeah.
But there was like one night that like we were all like hanging out in the living room, me, him, my roommate or whatever, and like I wasn't paying attention to like the room. I was paying attention to my phone. But like it was like the end of a long day,
Yeah.
And I was just like not necessarily into whatever shitty movie they decided to watch. And it was like, "Oh my god. You want to pay attention to the phone. You don't care about me." What? And then I'm like, if I'm in a mood, I'm just in a mood. So it's like, you know what? I'm going to bed.
Right.
Because I don't have time for this. Because there's only so much like, petting I could do.
Yeah.
And I think that goes for everybody. Like there's only so much like reassurance and stuff you can give a person.
Yeah.
I love you. I want to be with you. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, you're just like, yo, if you don't know, like I wouldn't be here. And when I don't love you, when I don't want to be with you, you will know, I promise you.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be no questioning it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, I do think that it's, like, difficult to, like, just deal with the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think at the same time, like, I think you know those things about a person before you get into it with them.
Yeah.
I know people who have, like, fibromyalgia.
Okay.
And that's like very painful.
Yeah.
That's something that like you need to know. I usually tell people like sooner than later that I have a heart condition.
Yeah.
Just kind of be like, FYI.
Mm-hmm.
Like doctor said I can't really carry babies, but I can make babies in a petri dish.
Mm-hmm.
And the preference is to adopt. So because I don't want to like, if that. I mean, at this point, I don't know what I'm doing with my life.
Right.
It's fucking Monday. Who knows? But like I feel like these are like the prerequisites. Like I was joking with my cousin the other day. I was like, I need to write this like all in my dating profile. Like I don't really have one now, but if I decide to ever put one back up, like, to be like, hey, this is what it is.
Right.
I don't like long walks on the beach. Walking on the beach is exhausting and my heart can't take it. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, just stuff like that. Like, do you like going, oh, I guess you're not a summer person. Like, no, I'm not. I threw up in the heat. So, I'm down to, like, lay next to a pool or next to the ocean, but I'm not staying out there forever because I get migraines and I vomit.
Yeah.
This is me.
This is me.
Yeah. I have this crazy scar down my chest. Whatever. You want to tell people I got into, like, a gang brawl. Do what you gotta.
Be my guest.
Right. Whoa, why'd your girlfriend have that scar? She gangsta. She hood.
Yeah. It's funny. I know that my ex-fiance had a lot of issues too, like with her body, but from right now I don't like remember, but she would always be like perpetually sick. And like, not that I would get mad that she got sick, but I would get mad that she could have like prevented it, because she's always like going to the doctor. I'm like, yo, all you need to do is just do what the doctor says. Like, I don't get it why you constantly don't listen to him, and then we're back here again. Like, what's going on? So like she just.
Well, that was kind of like my beef with my ex, because like he had some like minor health issues, like just high blood pressure, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And my thing was like, yo, your shit could be prevented.
Yeah.
Like, I can't prevent this.
Right.
I can do whatever I can to take care of myself.
Yeah.
Drink lots of water, don't drink, try to exercise, all that stuff.
Yeah.
which I do.
But more or less, it's permanent.
But this is it.
Yeah.
I was born with this. I can't help it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and God knows only what's in store. So just keep positive. But like your shit could be prevented.
Mm-hmm.
So he would think that I was like getting in his ass, and knowing my personality, I probably was. You know, but then like I'm like, how you gonna take care of me when you can't take care of you? Stop.
Right.
Like, come on. And I mean, it wasn't like a huge fight, but like it was just kind of like, he's like, I'm good with where I'm at. I'm like, do you want to take all those pills every day if you don't have to?
Yeah.
That was kind of just like the conversation. I mean, I need to like learn how to speak to people better because I'm sure it came out super bitchy. But sorry for that. But yeah, I mean, there's some people who, like you said, like with your ex, you kind of look at them and you're like, okay, well, what can we do to prevent this in the future? You know. And some people, like, if you help them through it, like I don't know if it's in New York, they have like a take your man to the doctor day.
That kind of sounds familiar.
Yeah, like it's like kind of like, because they know men are like predispositioned to not want to go to the doctor for anything.
Yeah.
It's like you ask a guy like when the last time he went to the dentist was, he's like, dentist. You're like, you got to go to the dentist, right? Like he does things to your teeth so your teeth don't fall out.
Right.
Like you know that, right? Like
you know that's a thing, right?
Right. Like the insurance gives you free dental every 6 months, right? But no, they don't want to go. So but I think there is. I think there's like a thing. There's like a movement. If there's not a movement, I feel like there should be a movement, like take your man to the doctor day.
Yeah.
Or to the dentist or to like whatever.
Yeah.
You know, I know you guys don't want the fucking finger up your butt, but prostate cancer is a real thing.
Right.
And that's the thing. I think that's part of the in sickness and health is the prevention of sickness and health. You know, so like when you're in a relationship, you know, motivating each other to do those things is a positive aspect, you know. Like, babe, did you get your mammogram? Like, go get your boobs smushed.
Not by me.
Yeah, right. Like, breast cancer is a real thing. Yeah, like, people get sick. I mean,
yeah,
we are not all supersonic bionic.
Right.
I don't know. If it's not a movement, I feel like we should make it a movement. So if you...
It's a first.
If you...
I bet love beyond first. Take your man...
to the doctor.
To the doctor day.
I don't know what day it's going to be.
Every day.
Let's just say the first Friday or the first Monday of every month. See if he is all caught up.
No, but you can't do that because that's the same time as the bills come in. It's the first of the month.
Whatever, the 15th of the month.
Okay, that's fine.
See what preventative care your man needs.
Yeah.
Dental is every 6 months. Physical is every year. Colonoscopy is every 5 years. And colonoscopy is only if you're over 40.
Right.
FYI. Mammogram is if you're over 40. Dental is still... You got teeth, you got to go.
You got teeth, you got to go.
Eye doctor is good to go to.
Yeah.
They could check to see if you have, like, you know, any kind of glaucoma come in or diabetes. And
Cataracts.
Cataract. Hearing? I don't know. If you feel like your hearing's bad, get it checked out.
Yeah, get everything checked out.
You want to be like, check your battery.
whatever that can be checked out, get checked out. Yeah, but definitely moving on to the physical stuff. There's an article that I saw that reminded me of you, and you were talking about exactly what I wanted you to talk about, and it was from Healthline.com, and it was like how to boost your relationship and sex life with healthy eating. Obesity has been linked to lower fertility. Being overweight or obese may also damage your self-esteem, which can affect your libido and desire to be intimate.
For like women, when women are like bigger, like they don't feel sexy, and it's been fact, and I actually have had friends who've said that they lost weight and then they got pregnant. And it's not necessarily because they lost weight so then they were having more sex, but they lost weight and like your hormones, your whole body functions differently when it's healthier.
Right.
You know, so like, you know, my friend was like a little heavier and she had lost a bunch of weight.
Yeah.
And then, you know, her boo came back and then bam, babies.
Right.
You know, so, and they were just like doing it up before, but it wasn't producing babies.
but it wasn't producing babies.
But no, I mean, I just think, no one's saying you have to be like a supermodel.
No, of course
I think
not.
like, you know, just general health and wellness stuff is attractive and breeds positivity. And we'll pile over to the bedroom.
We'll pile over to the bedroom. Another point was, which you really like, is eating together. It says, in some sense, your brain is the most important sex organ. Sex begins with affection, intimacy, and desire. Mealtime is a great time to unwind with your partner and build intimacy in a relaxed and pleasurable setting. So I thought that was interesting because I've heard that before. I'm like, oh snap, okay, that's cool. And this is something that I discovered on our last podcast about the ex that was a different religion of yours. And it was saying that there's food conflicts. Sometimes different food preferences and habits can be a source of stress in a relationship. To help build intimacy and trust, talk to your partner about issues surrounding your relationship with food. Sources of potential conflicts include cultural differences, religious dietary restrictions, tension between a vegetarian and an omnivore. And I remember you saying that, like, he was very difficult to deal with during Ramadan.
He was just difficult to deal with because he was starving, and like he could like, so Ramadan's like around like now, so like it is now, but like, so it doesn't get dark till like 9.
Okay.
So he'd be like, "Are you cooking?" I'm like, "Sure." He's like, "Okay, have it be ready at 9." So, and because he also went to bed early, he would come over, eat, and sleep. I'm like, okay. But then he'd wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to pray and eat because it's not light yet.
Right.
And then he'd eat like mad food at 5 a.m.
Right.
So sometimes we'd eat dinner and then he'd wake up at 5 a.m. and be like, "Yo, let's go on a diner run." I'm like, it's dark out, motherfucker. Like, come on.
Right. Because this has to do with like spiritual health as well. Because like, if you stayed with him, this would be your regular routine. So I wonder how.
Buddy. I'm eating dinner at 6 like everybody else.
No, okay, but there again, there's the conflict. So it's like, I wonder how other people would do
like,
it.
Sometimes I'd cook and then I'd eat, and then like I'd stay and sit and eat with him.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. Or most of the time we would just like go grab food because it's summer, it's hot. I didn't have air conditioning in the house.
Right.
But like, no, I mean, it is what it is. I just think that the eating dinner together part is important. But like when it comes to like, it's not like I was like, ooh, breakfast, Taylor ham, bacon, cheese. I don't think I like ate bacon in front of him. Not because I eat meatballs though. Not because I didn't like it, but because like, I don't know, I didn't want to disrespect him.
Right.
You know, like, don't kiss me with your bacon mouth. Like, nom 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 bacon, and then I'm like, mwah. That would have been rude.
Right.
I don't know.
But you don't think he would have understood, or did it matter? Because you knew where he was coming from. Like, you know what I mean?
I guess I just was doing it out of respect. I didn't need to be asked to do it.
Right.
I don't know if he would have cared or not. I mean, I never asked.
Right.
I mean, like, he kind of made, like, side comments, sometimes jokingly.
Yeah.
Like, "Oh, you eating that devil's food?" I was like, shut up.
Right.
Right. Like, and then, like, when we would go out, he'd be like, "Oh, is there bacon in that?" Like, asking the waitress and stuff. So, you know. And I would check for him sometimes, too. You know, if I, like, went and got something, I'm like, "Oh, that's not made with, like, a pork product, right?" You know.
Right. Oh, I mean, that's good.
That's what you're supposed to do.
I was going to say that. Yep.
Sickness and damn health. Know your role.
Yeah, exactly. No, but that's good, though.
It sounds aggravating, but I mean, it's what you do. Same thing with my mom. My mom's like allergic to shellfish, you know. My dad doesn't take her to seafood restaurants. She's never been to Red Lobster before. She's missing out on those Cheddar Bay biscuits.
Or Lobster Fest.
She don't care about that.
No, but I'm saying.
Well, actually,
like
she said the one she did eat shrimp fried rice, that she got a quart of shrimp fried rice and pulled up in front of the hospital and ate it and then went in for her shot.
Wow.
Because she's gangster like that. It's my mama.
That's funny. No, but yeah, there's different types of healths and, you know, mental, physical, spiritual, that we all have to deal with. And, you know, we just want to know if you can tolerate it, or you're just like, you know what, like, I'm out, or you're just like, you know what, yeah, I'm gonna ride or die with you. And I'm glad that we've got a lot of perspectives on that. You know, you saying about your parents and, you know, your two exes, you know, one was good and one was, you know, good and one was bad, and we have the anxiety.
I kind of also feel like sickness and health, like, once you're married, has to do with your family sickness and health too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was dating that dude and I went to the hospital to go to see his dad, but he asked me to go because he's like, look, you're a social worker. I don't understand what they're saying. Can you come with me and help me? And we were only dating like a couple weeks, which was like really weird, but I kind of just went in there with like my professional hat.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this is what's going on. And I like asked a couple questions. You see like a lot of other cultures, like Indian cultures, like they move the family into the home.
Okay.
So like you're basically taking care of your in-laws' parents.
Yeah.
And that's just what they do.
Mm-hmm.
So like I have to like for my other job, like I'll go out and I like do these like interviews with them and they're like, oh, my daughter-in-law gives me a shower, or my daughter-in-law gives me my medication. And that's all part of the game. I mean, it sounds like whatever, but like, same thing like with, when your grandparents get old, My grandma was like really old and fragile, and I was once dating this like super tall dude, and like she couldn't like get up the stairs. Like he carried her up the stairs. It's just what you do. It's just what you do when you're fully invested in somebody. You go in all the way, or you just don't go in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot of work. So in sickness and health, I think also includes family. My mom and dad are getting older. I'm sure if I get married, that person's mom and dad, if they're still alive, will be getting older. And it's just something you have to kind of be on board for.
Yeah.
You can't be on something like that's not my mom, because it is your mom now.
Mm-hmm.
It's your mother-in-law or your father-in-law. Like you just gotta be down for the cause.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's a serious vow, and I don't know if that's the vow that's only given like in a Catholic church or a Christian church, but it's a vow nonetheless.
Yeah.
And I think you just have to take it seriously. So I was waiting to see if my lovely ex got back to me, but I think he's seriously thinking about the question. If he doesn't give me an answer tonight, we'll have to just fill you in on the next podcast. I appreciate him giving me an answer. Although there's part of me that like would want to know for like the future. I mean, for just common knowledge, not the future. But I think it is good to know from like a man's perspective, like what's the most difficult part of dating someone who has an illness.
Yeah.
So I think he's over there thinking about it. I was like, what can I write so I don't sound like an asshole? Whatever he says is fine. I mean,
right. Well, I mean, he doesn't necessarily know that he's being watched right now.
Well, no.
So, like, I'm sure he'll be candid, and then we'll just take it.
He'll be like, edit that shit.
It's like, wait a minute, I didn't know you were gonna put it on the show. What the hell?
No. He knew.
You betrayed me.
He knows I'm gonna like talk about it on the show.
Right.
So, I don't know. I just think that like, depending on what it is, like, think about people who are like paralyzed and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that's a lot of responsibility for you.
Yeah.
It's not like you can, like you said, there's limited to things that you could do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot of responsibility, and you have to be like a really strong person to handle that.
Yeah.
And I think people who are dating, unfortunately, like if you're in the position like where you have a chronic illness or you have something like that, like maybe you're an Iraqi veteran and you have like a prosthetic leg or something. It's really hard to have those conversations.
Yeah.
Like, although I have a major health issue, like I can pretty much function normal. So it doesn't affect me like that. But like I do have a giant scar. So I remember like growing up, like having to explain to people like why I had a scar.
Mm-hmm.
I remember like meeting one dude and he was just like, I'm not touching you.
Really?
Like, he was like afraid he was going to hurt me, I think.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, dude, this scar is like 20 years old. So like I got it when I was 7.
Right.
But
I remember back in the day, like when we were just, well, maybe we were like a couple months in with my ex, and yeah, I don't know how the conversation started, but yeah, she was like, yeah, if you became, like if I was dating you right now and then you got into an accident and became paralyzed, she was like, to tell you the truth, I really don't know what I would do, if I would be able to stay with you or not. And I was like, you know what? Okay. I respect you for that answer. You know, like
That's rough though.
it is rough because it's true though. Because like I mean, yeah, sure, the noble thing to say like, oh, I would stay with you, but like we were only dating for a couple months. Like you don't know if this person's like for life, you know. But I'm like, you know what? That's true because like yeah, we're just dating and stuff. But still, like you said, how about if the people are like married? And then like they get into an accident, and then now they get into an accident, and then now that person is like paralyzed. You know, like look at Christopher Reeve.
Right.
You know, when he had his accident. You know,
his wife held him down though.
Oh no, definitely, yeah, absolutely.
Right.
But it was just like, damn, you know, like Superman. You
But
know,
then
like
you look at somebody like Michael C. Hall from Dexter.
Right. Yeah.
So he got Hopkins lymphoma.
Okay.
He had like throat cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Alexa, we ain't talking to you. Sorry, I didn't. Oh God, she's annoying. It's because we weren't talking to you. So he was married to the girl who plays his sister on Dexter, Jennifer
Carpenter.
Right?
He was married to her.
Yeah, they were married
in real life.
In real life.
Oh snap! Okay, that's weird.
Fun facts. And then when he got sick, she basically said like she couldn't handle it,
mm-hmm.
and she left him.
Mm-hmm.
They say it was because of the Save the Last Dance girl, but you know.
I was gonna say Julia Stiles.
Yeah, Lumen from Dexter. Where's my Dexter fans at? Holler. Cause like, but Lumen wasn't even like Lumen was like making out with him on the show, or was she? I don't remember. Anyway, they said it was like possibly because of Lumen.
Mm-hmm.
That was her name on the show.
Yeah.
Julia Stiles, but there was like an article or something that had come out and said that she basically had like a really rough time when he got sick, and like just she kind of stood by his side, but she couldn't like be his wife.
Yeah.
You know.
This was during the show's run.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
They're amazing. They're so amazing because they kept up this great facade for the show.
That's rough. Jesus.
Spoiler alert. If you did not watch the end of Dexter, please don't listen to this part. But he was probably glad when she died at the end. He's like, good bitch.
Wow.
But he was like so loving to her. He's like, I love my sister. And I'm like, he said it like a serial killer too, you know, like no emotion.
Yeah.
So.
Oh my God.
I don't know. But I mean, I don't know. It's just a weird situation.
Yeah.
But I think that's something you should think about. Like if you meet people, you should be like, oh, is he going to be or is she going to be down for the cause?
Yeah.
You know, and you should both be in each other's corner about taking care of each other and taking care of yourself. You know, like it's weird, but like that's like kind of how you become close with somebody when they have something like wrong, like somebody needs their bandages changed and you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to take care of you. I got this.
Yeah.
You know, whatever the case may be. I remember I like sprained my ankle once when my first real live-in boyfriend. You know, and he like would always like wrap my foot for me and stuff like that. Like, I don't know if he was gonna be a good caretaker though. Somewhere along the line he got selfish. But we were young. So, but you know, but like I've thought about like other people who I've dated, like especially when I was in the hospital situation. And I was like, nah, he wouldn't have been there.
Right.
Not at all.
Mm-hmm.
He would have been back in Brooklyn. Not dropping any names. But no, like I know that. Like, or he would have just like made terrible jokes like, oh, maybe you're gonna die, because that's just how his attitude was.
That's definitely a terrible joke. Wow.
It's a terrible joke, but that's like really how his sense of humor is.
Yeah.
And I would have been like, well, he's just being funny. I would have defended him. But I don't know, I think that's like something you should think about. Like, is this person gonna be down for you? If this person cannot buy you tampons, will he change your like colostomy bag? God forbid.
Right.
This is like serious shit to think about.
Absolutely, definitely.
And I don't think people do. I think they're just like, he's hot. He's got a big dick. I want to date him. Or like, she's got boobs. She'll be awesome.
Right.
Like, I'm going to be straight up. I don't like blood.
Okay.
But put on some gloves, I'll be okay.
Mm.
I'll be like, okay, babe, don't worry. We've got this. Like, I'll turn into like Florence Nightingale. Like,
Dr. Quinn, medicine woman.
For real. But because that's what love makes you do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was like the first time like I knew I loved my ex-boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's never been in love before, and I remember distinctly asking him, like, I had gone to the hospital down the shore, and I was driving home, and I, like, felt it. Like, I just felt, like, I don't remember how far in March, April, May, June, July. It was, like, maybe, like, 4 months, 5 months, something like that.
Okay.
And I, like, felt it. Like, it radiated in me. Like, and, like, when we were in the hospital together, like, we would, like, exchange, like, pleasantries. Like, I adore you. You know, like, oh, I care about you so much. And I was like, don't say love. I was like, don't do it.
Why is that? Just because it's been so...
Because, like,
because it was short?
Because, like, I didn't want to, like, freak him out.
Right.
You know, so, like, I had gone home, but then, like, that next night we had drove back down the shore with a friend of his to, like, go get my car, and him and he drove my car back because I was like, I'm not ready to drive yet.
Yeah.
And I had said to him in the car, I was like, oh, you've never been in love before. How would you know if you are? And he was like, I know I love you. And I was like, yay.
Fireworks.
I was like, he loves me. I was like, I love you too good. So I was like,
get that out of the way.
I was like, whew.
Yeah, right?
That was effortless.
That's awesome.
So I was just like, okay. But then I was just like, it kind of like brought us together. Like, I mean, other things tore us apart, but like irrelevant right now for the story. But like, you know, it definitely brought us together and gave me like an option to like know that it was like another way for me to like tell that he was like a really good guy.
Yeah.
And it's definitely something I fear moving forward. So
right.
It's like the 80-20 rule. Like, you know, he may be all the things I want him to be, but if he leaves my ass in the hospital, you out, buddy.
Right.
Peace.
All right. Well, we are up to that famous part of the podcast, which is meme of the day.
Meme of the day.
So, what you got for us, Jen?
So it's a meme, and it's Rick from Walking Dead. Sorry, and he's like posing with his one of his walkers, and it just says, "When Bae gets Ebola, but you still love her." And that's what it's all about.
That's what you gotta do, yo. Oh, you got Ebola? I got it too.
So if my ex writes back, or if you guys have any other questions that you think I should ask him, because he would be the best person to ask. He was a good dude who did the right thing. I was gonna say for the wrong person, not for the right person, but he was a good dude who did the right thing, and he'd be the person to ask. So we might bombard him with questions and then see what he says, and I'll fill you guys in next week.
Yeah, if you want to write us, you can write us at bedlovebeyond@gmail.com, or you can go to our Twitter, bedlovebeyond, Twitter, and you can go to our Facebook page too,
facebookpage.com. I think our phone number's
facebook.com
on there too.
bedlovebeyond. Yes, yeah, I recently put our phone number on there, so you can hit us up on there. Yeah.
You can find us wherever you want to find us.
Absolutely, we're everywhere.
Everywhere.
All right, so it's a good show, good topic.
Stay good, love one another.
Thank you for your input and your stories. Sorry if I was invasive.
No, it's cool. It's nothing that nobody knows.
All right. We'll see you guys next time.
Peace.